Alex, Byrd Ficklin, man, this has been something fun that has just been a blast to watch. He just continues to rise up, and it's just so impressive to see a freshman QB who is a 3-star look as good as he has running the football. I want to emphasize more than anything. We talk about his passing in a moment. He did complete a couple passes yesterday, but man, it's just for him to come in there. He did end up actually leading Utah in rushing yards because he had those 2 big carries, but just the fact that he's able to make that stuff happen, I'm so impressed with how comfortable he runs the ball against college defenders, some of whom are like 5th and 6th year guys that have no chance to tackle him.
The future is bright with this, with Byrd Ficklin, man. Yeah. And just to kind of put it a little bit into perspective, right, for Utah fans, because of the performance that he had against Baylor, he is now the 3rd leading rusher for this Utah Utes team. And he is the second leader when it comes to rushing touchdowns. Only Nakari Rogers has more with 10. That's how much of an impact this kid has had in the very limited playing time that he's had. He's only had 1 start. Yeah. He's only had the 1 start against Colorado. Every other time has been, coming in for garbage time, or coming in the case of like Baylor last week for special packages, special sets, and then just to provide that spark. He really provided a big spark that I think Utah needed against Baylor. And then obviously pulls off not 1 but 2 electric runs to find the end zone in that one on the road at on the road in Waco. And so he's a star in the making. I think he's for sure the leader right now for the future at the quarterbacking position for Utah.
But that's the important thing, is leader for the future. Because Devon Dampier, and let's talk about this more. He's clearly not healthy. Witt said he wouldn't have played last week, which is very interesting in Utah's passing game. I mean, obviously, Utah threw for less than 100 yards and threw up another 49 points. Just the offensive line, the coaching performance on both sides of the ball just continues to be so impressive when you think about Utah's limited pass game, and they continue to do this to teams. And, when Byrd comes in, he did complete a couple of passes. But I will still say, this is very much still Devon Dampier's team. And, Byrd Fickland's doing some good things, Alex, but there is still areas I feel like he needs to continue to grow in his game. I feel like sometimes I see the hype train with him get off the rails, where it's no, we need this guy to be the guy right now.
Yeah.
And I think if he were to go against the best teams and they made him throw the ball, that's where he is still growing his pass. That pass to JJ Buchanan was so far behind JJ Buchanan. I love Byrd Ficklin. I think he's going to be a star. I think he could be really good. But it's clear to me he's still growing as a passer. He's incredible with the ball in his hands. They need to continue to let him run the offense. But there's a reason that the 2 passes he did hit were pop passes, where you try to trick him that you're going to run it. He's not going to drop back and pick you apart. But what he does do, he does very well. But he is not the best quarterback on this Utah roster. And I feel like some people are starting to think that, when to me it's a little deceiving because of how good he's been with his legs. But if he was asked to do it with his arm that same level, I still think Dampier is by far QB1 right now with this team.
Yes, right now, yes. And I think you go back to that Colorado game where he goes 10 for 22 with 140 through the air. He did have the two passing touchdowns, which again, great. But I still think, going back and remembering what I remember for that Colorado game, I do remember seeing a guy who still has a ceiling and who still has a little bit to go as far as reaching a potential in the passing game, right? And that's going to come through spring training, right? That's going to come through the off season, and really getting familiar with this playbook and building chemistry with the wide receivers, right? It'll take time. But the potential is there, and I think that's where I want to continue to see Byrd growing, because I think Utah, in a situation where, let's say they have a rematch against Texas Tech, Texas Tech team who right now is the best team in the country at stopping the run. Do you still have the ability to put 250 plus rushing yards on that defense, right? Do you still have that ability to move the ball the way that he did against Baylor, right? Or are they going to make you throw the ball like they did when they came up to Rice-Eccles Stadium? And that's where the concern is. And so that's where I think Byrd needs to grow. And I think that's where Byrd will continue to see Byrd grow. But right now, obviously, what he can bring in in the rushing attack is really, really fun to watch.
It is really fun to watch. And this team is so fun to watch right now. I mean, oh my gosh, they are just dominating these teams. It's crazy to watch them. I would encourage all of you to go watch my colleague Cam Stewart with Locked On Baylor, his live post-game thing. It's just raw. And he is just this is the lowest this Baylor football team has ever been. Put him in that position, the Utah Utes, because of how just dominant they were yesterday. I was so impressed by this team's performance. The offensive line creating movement up front. Wayshawn Parker no P4 running back is averaging more yards per carry than Wayshawn Parker right now. He's really elevated his play too. Devon Dampier, battling injuries, but still making things happen out there. And, hey, like Ryan Davis is still a really good player. Like, yes, this Utah team doesn't have the greatest deep passing game. We saw that a couple of times yesterday, right? Like they're going to target Larry Simmons, and Larry actually has a step on him, but it's an underthrown ball. And then there are times when the wide receivers don't create separation. So that's obviously a work in progress. But when that's the deal, you need a lead offensive coordinator. The Dallin Bentley touchdown is so well designed because Utah's just going to continue to try to run it down your throat. So then the one time it looks like he's going to be a lead blocker. Nope, you just let him loose. And he makes it downfield too. This defense flying around, getting after it. I could not imagine. I've said this before, Alex. I played high school offensive line. I'm by no means a superstar, but I could not imagine even fathom trying to figure out Morgan Scalley's blitz packages. Oh my gosh. He just sends the craziest stuff and they look lost constantly. The second pick that Sawyer threw, the Trey Reynolds one, he got walloped by Jackson Benny and they had no idea. And they blitzed Jackson Benny a lot more this game than last game. So that's where to me, Morgan just has such a in tune and knows what to do here. But I just continue to be so impressed by what Utah does week in and week out.
Absolutely. Offensively, I mean, you put up 55 points against Baylor. That obviously speaks for itself, man. You're also able to put up another massive performance in the running game. You put up 380 on the ground total. Obviously, the passing game is still something that can be worked on and can be tuned up and can be fixed for Utah. Also, I wasn't too impressed with the secondary play the other night against Baylor, and so that's also something. I hope it was just like bye week yips, right? Coming off the bye week, you're a little rusty, and I hope that's what that was. Because Sawyer Robertson, I mean, despite all having all the pressure in the world in his face, still got it off for 430 yards against the Utah secondary, who up to that point of the season was actually one of the better in the Big 12 at shutting down the pass. And so, again, that's why I want to give them the benefit of the doubt and say maybe they're just rusty coming off the bye week, but obviously that's something that the team can improve on as well.
I'm actually really glad you went there because I'm going to push back a little bit on some of that. I'm not that concerned with the secondary. I think it's just Sawyer Robertson and the Baylor passing attack being that's the best quarterback Utah's seen. And is it really the best? He leads the nation in passing yards. And yes, I know he's thrown interceptions, 9 on the season now. There's a heavy load on his shoulders because of how bad that defense is. So he's got to make a lot of plays. And, credit Utah because making some plays too, right? Elijah Scooby Davis had the big pick. He had I know the other guy probably said something to him, but you still can't throw a punch there. But that's just where this Utah team keeps finding ways to make plays. So to me, I look yesterday at the secondary's performance and I go, you know what? Yeah, Sawyer threw for a lot of yards, but that's a really good quarterback. That's a really good collection of pass catchers. They made so many tough plays there. With the amount of man coverage that Utah asks their guys to play, I think that's going to happen against the better quarterbacks and better passing attacks they play. So I am not that concerned with the secondary. I just think if they played Oregon or USC, like one of those teams where it's like, okay, this is another top 10 quarterback in college football, I'd be more concerned about that. But I feel like right now, this is just the style they're choosing to play, is they are willing to let some of the best receivers and tight ends, they're going to make some plays because we're going to play as much man-to-man, but we're also going to get after you with some of these blitzes and force you to turn over and make some plays. So I feel like the secondary will be fine going against Kansas and Kansas State down the stretch, Alex.
Yeah. Yes, and especially because, Avery Johnson this season has been disappointing. That whole Kansas State team as a whole has been disappointing. Yeah. We'll get into that too here in a minute, but overall, like I said, it's not any long-term concerns for me as far as the secondary goes. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt because it was coming off the bye week, right? You might have a little bit of rust there. Mm-hmm. Like you mentioned, though, you got to give credit to Sawyer Robertson because he is one of the better, if not the best quarterback maybe in the Big 12. He's just unfortunate that he's stuck with a Baylor team that's been inconsistent all season.
And I like Cameron's really good, the receiver. Trigg is fantastic, that tight end.
And you know what? I think they did a phenomenal job on Trigg. They only held Trigg to, what was it, 3 catches, man?
I think so.
For under 50 yards. So they did a good job of getting Trigg out of that game. And Trigg, who's been phenomenal, right? He's probably one of the best tight ends in the country, if not the best. They did a good job of scheming him out, but that maybe opened up a little bit more for what was his name? Number 34's name, Cameron and Hawkins to have a big night.
But first, this episode of Locked On Utes is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel's live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. And with FanDuel, guys, you got college football, and what else is back? NBA, college basketball, and the NFL. Utah Utes, I expect to be big favorites over Kansas State this week, but there's tons of other great college football playoff games, games with college football playoff implications going on this week, NBA action. It's all there at FanDuel. You can head to FanDuel.com, sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.